Welcome to Conversations in Marin. Today, Martin Rosen, former president of the Trust for Public Land, talks with Al Boro, mayor of San Rafael, and one of the founders of the Marin County Open Space District.
Thank you very much for being with us, Mayor.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Your involvement, Mayor Boro, with open space in Marin is not new. Can you tell us how you first got involved in open space issues in Marin County?
Yes, going back to about 1968, I was appointed to the County Parks Commission by, at that time, Supervisor John McGinnis.
Yes.
And in 1971, I was chair of the commission, and the countywide plan, well, the last place last, was put out in draft form. And in that plan, there was a lot of discussion about preserving open space. And so Pierre Joski was the director of the commission, and he and I worked with the board, and we decided to host a symposium to see if there was any interest in pursuing open space on a countywide basis. So we held a symposium at the College of Marin in May of 1971 called Parks, People, and Open Space. And we have here a poster from that particular event, and Alf Heller was the keynote speaker, and people started talking about open space and whether or not it was something we wanted to accomplish and acquire, and then secondly, how we would do it, and third, if there was a will to go forward. And that was the beginning of how the district started to evolve.
What were your thoughts then about open space? Did you have an idea that we would have a district, or were you just trying to involve people in the subject of our quality of life in Marin County?
Yeah. We didn't really have an idea about a district at that point. We had an idea that we had some beautiful open space currently in our county, and how do we preserve it. This particular general plan talked about building county dividers between each of the cities, separators. So that was one thing that we looked at, and the plan calls that out. It also talks about bayfront property and so on. But the whole idea was, from my point of view, I thought that if we could acquire open space and purchase it from a willing buyer, it was a positive thing for the community to do. It would have a lasting impact on our quality of life.
Interesting. You say you had these principles, one of which was fair market value.
That's correct.
And what other principles guided your pursuit?
Well, we eventually came up, once we went forward with this and the ballot measure passed, we came up with principles as to how it would be administered, what it would be used for passive recreation, the fact that nothing would be built on it, and that it would serve as a place of solace, if you will, for people to go and to see and to enjoy.
That's wonderful. Now, when it went to the ballot, was there any organized opposition?
I don't recall any. There probably was, but quite frankly, there's a lot of support for it. My recollection was it did pass with over 70% of the vote.
It was an overwhelming accomplishment, and obviously your leadership played a role. Do you remember how you captured the imagination of the people who were asked to tax themselves to buy this space?
Well, believe me, there are a lot of people involved beyond myself. And at this particular meeting at College of Marin, it's when I first met Gary Giacomini. And he was either a member of the Board of Supervisors or running at that time. And I know he got behind this fully. And I know he had a great role to play in it. Our whole commission, there were 7 of us at the time, supported it.
It was unanimous?
It was unanimous. Pierre Joski was our general manager, as I said, and he, of course, helped shepherd this through. We got support from the Board of Supervisors, and I believe the board supported on the concept, let's put it to a vote and see if people want to do this. And once they saw the vote, I think this made a lot of sense.
It certainly is something we can walk on today with great pride. But in those early days, of all the priorities, even though you're on the commission, we always have issues of taxes, we always have issues of jobs, we always have issues of housing. What were the feelings that you expressed through open space?
Well, at that time, I was just a homeowner doing a part-time job on the Parks Commission, and I got pretty involved in it. Sure. And I saw this truly as a long-term opportunity for Marin County. And I don't recall all the thought process I went through. It made a lot of sense. Marin was a very beautiful place, and in retrospect, when you compare Marin today to other parts of the state of California, where they had opportunities like this and didn't do it, where development has just been built on ridgetops and open space has not been preserved, you have a whole different quality of life.
Absolutely. But it's not a passing fancy. Isn't it fair to say that as mayor you have many priorities, you have many issues, and yet you continue to be involved in the open space qualities here in San Rafael as well as in Marin County. In San Rafael, for example, on the waterfront, how is that playing out as a priority of yours?
Well, in the San Rafael current general plan, we talk about having a bay path along the waterfront. And as development occurs, we get dedication to build that path. We've done that, and the trail will go all along the Bay Trail throughout the region of the Bay Area. And we actively support that. Quite frankly, there are times we have trouble maintaining it because of dollars. Sure. But the long term is we are, as an opportunity comes about, we get it through dedication as part of development. And we do build these trails. We have the Gene and John Starkweather Shoreline Park in San Rafael in the canal area, which is heavily used, well maintained, and used by many, many people, not only in San Rafael, but throughout the whole county.
When you say the whole county, how does the partnership, if we can call it that, work between the city and the county with respect to open space, and especially the open space district? How do they function?
Well, they're not active roles, but on occasion, like currently, we're working with the Open Space District on the whole issue of urban wildland fire protection, which is a big issue in our community. It's a big issue in the county of Marin right now.
Yes.
We have a lot of homes that are surrounded by open space, and people love it. My home is one of them. But we are bordered by open space. Some of it's city property, some of it's county property. We're now starting to work with the county, because in the city we've allocated money this year to start a process to create a 100-foot clearance between the homes and the open space. And if, for example, in San Rafael, if it's city property, the city will go in and affect that clearance. And if it's county property, we're starting to work now with the county to see how they might do it. So we've had excellent relationships with the county. In fact, as I recall, over the years, some of the property we turned over to the Open Space District so they could maintain it for us because they were better equipped to do it than we were.
Excellent. So is it fair to say there's some leverage opportunity when the two jurisdictions, the city of San Rafael and the county district, work together?
There is, but in recent times we have not purchased any property directly, either the city or the county in the city of San Rafael. A lot of our objectives have been achieved, and quite frankly, the dollars right now aren't there to do it. They're very difficult to come by, right?
So perhaps, as you've indicated, where they have you acquire the property by dedication, you're able to turn it over for maintenance and operations in some cases?
Right. And in the Shoreline Park, we maintain it. We don't turn it over. But you reminded me of something very interesting.
Oh, good.
In the 70s, when the district was first formed, there was an area, North San Rafael, in the Terra Linda area. The city of San Rafael passed an open space tax itself right after the county did, or about the same time. And then in the area of Marin and northern San Rafael, people wanted to preserve land in that area, and working with Supervisor Bob Romier at the time, they formed an assessment district. So to show you how dedicated people in San Rafael were in the early 70s and late 70s, they had three taxes they were paying. They were paying the countywide open space district tax, they were paying a local city tax, and on top of that they formed a special assessment district. So I think the legacy of open space in San Rafael is quite strong.
Boy, that's quite a tribute. To have a triple tax,
right,
to do something as specific as that, when there are obviously so many priorities.
There are other priorities, but I think people could see it, they could understand it. It was a specific plan. They knew what they would get if they taxed themselves for this. And then, of course, when the properties were acquired, the taxes expired.
Is it fair to say that we have examples of that same passion today, or is that something we have to continue to work at, in your opinion?
I think it's something we need to continue to work at. It's people talk about acquiring land, but then when you talk about the fact that, well, if you want to acquire it, you're going to have to form a district and tax yourselves, people back away. And that's not being critical. It's just that, people are paying a lot of taxes these days, relatively speaking, and there are other priorities. We have other priorities in our city right now, I believe, that are higher than acquiring more open space. For example, our infrastructure for our police and fire. So, things change, time changed, but I think our timing was great in the early 70s, and I think we've left a great legacy
to build on.
Yes.
Of course, the population pressures, while not identical with, say, Southern California, are fairly relentless. Our demands on our lands around us are not diminishing. They're increasing, aren't they?
They are, and what most cities are faced with, what we call infill building.
Yes.
and rightly so, we don't want to touch open space. We can't touch open space. It's protected, and it should be protected. But it makes it difficult to build, and we have to be very careful as we do this. We, in our current general plan in San Rafael, have come up with housing opportunity sites, but they're difficult. They're expensive because they're the odd parcels that are left. And then plus, quite frankly, there's always neighborhood opposition to building homes.